Thank you for watching, liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing right now.
Connecting to YouTube now. Starting to stream. I don't know why I have to do this button separately, but I do. It says, you may want to tell people you're streaming live. Well, I did. They have to sit through an ad, though. Well, at least the people who are watching live have to sit through an ad. If you're not watching it live, then you already sat through the ad to be able to watch this. And you got to understand, that's not a bad thing, because that's what keeps me doing this for you. In fact, just a few minutes ago, I received a random email from one of you, my email address, chris@Pirillo.com, asking why I haven't done a Geek Out in a couple of days. Well, okay, first of all, today is Labor Day, all right? And I'm laboring for you. Second of all, it was the weekend. If I did a Geek Out every single day, my head would explode. I do a vlog every day, since most of our community seems to want the vlogs more than geek talk, even though the vlogs are kind of filled with geek talk every so often. Thank you for joining us live. This is your Geek Out for today. I hope your Labor Day is not so laborious. Is it laboring? I hope to write that wrong. David Hornick, I have to give credit for that little pun, or that play on words, really. Laboring. Labor? If you're bored, you're doing it wrong. Let me go ahead and welcome Fords Are Sick 11, the already being taken, JZG60, Snow in July production, Laylol 690. When you guys like throw numbers into your usernames, I can't see. I mean, I can, but Jack2K4 asks, "How is Diana, dude? She's fine. Tell me you're fine."
I'm fine.
In fact, she's so fine that after we broadcast this live on YouTube, she's going to be doing a daily Diana on live.pirillo.com. I'm seeing about, getting her more comfortable in front of the live audience. And so she'll be answering your questions for her there after this live broadcast. Now, if you're watching the recording, then you may have missed that. So, who's going to get that complimentary loot crate, as I announced in Friday's Geek Out? Even though we didn't get 1,000 likes, I thought I'd give you guys another chance, or shot. Chance. That's a shot plus chance. To see if you guys would like this live video, and hopefully you do like it. Ozzy that's his username. He commented with good comments on all the articles that we posted in the video description on Friday. Of course, blog post living on LockerGnome.com. Hopefully you are subscribed to the Locker Gnome email newsletter. It's good stuff. I mean, really, if you're a geek, if you're not subscribed, I don't know if I really consider you a geek. Certainly the people who are active in the community are subscribed. And by the way, the Locker Gnome Twitter account has started to follow people who tweet Locker Gnome articles or our YouTube videos. I don't know if some of you have experienced that, but I've been watching it very closely. And, bringing a little bit of love back to you, and, beyond just this free content stuff. Thank you, 1995 Walker. I love your videos, Chris. Such an inspiration. I appreciate that, really do. We pour our heart and soul into everything that we do for you, starting with the laundry list, or the beginning of the laundry list of articles posted over the weekend, as well as today on LockerGnome.com. Star Wars 3D. Will we see episodes 2 and 3? Will you? That's what Diana wanted to do on Valentine's Day. I don't know if you remember that, but she wanted to see episode 1 in 3D, in theaters. It was not worth it. Not even for free. I don't think I would sit through that. It didn't feel like it was 3D, and it was still the Phantom Menace. I don't really think I'm all that gung-ho for seeing episodes 2 and 3 in the theaters. Boy, I'm just inventing all sorts of words today. Those are 3D theaters, by the way, the theaters, if you did not know that until now. Hey, I make her laugh, so I can only assume that you guys are laughing on the other side of the camera. So, here's a question as I toss it back to the live audience. Are you going to be seeing episodes 2 and 3 in 3D? Salty DKO says, I hate 3D. No doubt about that! I bet you're glad I'm not 3D. I better be careful. Got my live streaming juice here. Don't want to knock it over. Now that I've just scared everybody away. The answer for me is no. Even though I know a lot of people are Star Wars fans, I'm just not a big supporter of the prequels. I wanted to be, but beyond collecting Lego minifigs, I really have no affinity towards the prequels of Star Wars at this point in time. They're out next year, one in October and the other in December. I think that's what Muttley2209 says. Indeed, they are coming down the pike. And I know many geeks will be seeing it, but people have asked me, and I said no, and we wrote kind of a synopsis of what people are going to be expecting, if they expect anything out of that franchise at this point. Do I need a tablet? Not a question I ask. It's a question that a lot of people ask. They go to Google and they say, do I need a tablet? And the answer is maybe. I'm of the mindset that, yes, I generally believe a tablet can find a place in a home more than the traditional home computer did. I use my iPad, the Galaxy Nexus as well. At one point, the Amazon Kindle Fire. Diana lives on her iPad. Well, she doesn't sit on it. I mean, she uses it frequently. She's on the iPad or her iPhone more than she is a traditional computer. So, if you're on the go, if what you do is just casual reading or browsing, social media stuff, digesting content, and maybe a little bit of light creation, I would say yes, a tablet would be for you. And you're not going to be able to do everything on a tablet that you could do on a traditional computer, but it doesn't make it any less of a computer, any less of a viable option. Don't get one because you see everybody else is getting one. That's not the reason you would buy anything. You would want to know its place within your workflow. And once you've accommodated that, it's a bit easier to understand that a tablet can very well fit in your lifestyle. We break down a few more of the questions that you might ask yourself, or more importantly, and this is probably a link that you would send off to someone who's asking you, should I buy a tablet? Well, instead of you wasting your breath, just send them a link to the article that we wrote. We'll answer the questions for them. It's what we do. Automobiles. Crash avoidance system has cars talking to one another. This is a dream. Did you know this technology existed?
No.
Like, you think that, you saw in the vlogs the other day, I mean, there were crazy drivers in Seattle. When the sun comes out, they don't know what to do. It's a strange UFO in the sky, and then they're all over the place and generally wreaking havoc on the roads. There are technologies in the car. I've got a GPS, power windows. There's an old song, Power Windows. Remember that one? It's kind of country. That's why I figured you'd know it, because you're kind of country. A little bit. I'm a little bit rock and roll. Another obscure reference that flew right over her head. And yours likely as well.
Johnny and Marie.
Wow, holy cow.
Donnie and Marie.
Yeah, you were close. I was going to give it to you, even though you said Johnny and Marie first. I'll give it to you. So now technology exists. Check this out. That allows the cars to communicate with one another. So if you're not paying attention, and let's face it, not all of us pay attention 100% of the time, especially behind the wheel when we should, the car may save you. I've got technology in my car, and you've seen me demonstrate it, which allows me to keep a certain distance from the car in front of me when I set cruise control all the way down to 28 miles an hour. And that sometimes knows when I should be slowing down before I know I need to be slowing down. And so instead of just having that technology in one car, having technology in two separate vehicles, as this proliferates, could save lives. So this is an amazing piece of technology. We were happy to cover it, and if only because you probably drive, or at some point will drive, because we know that some of our audience does not drive. Windows 8 antivirus. Is it necessary? So my perspective, I say install the software that Microsoft gives you. In my experience with Windows 8 to this point, I would say that you don't need it as much as you might have needed it in earlier versions of Windows, for one reason and one reason alone. And if this fits who you are, great. If not, it may not apply to you. If you only download from Microsoft's store as built into Windows 8, I can't imagine you really needing to have antivirus software installed. Now, that doesn't mean that you let your guard down, because bad things can still happen, as I've shared on Facebook, Google+, and beyond, little tips and tricks of how to identify a phishing message. If all you're doing is going through Microsoft, which, I gotta tell you, for Windows, that's going to be my plan. If I want to download something, it's going to be through the App Store. If it doesn't exist in the App Store, I'm not going to install it on Windows. I know I'm crazy. I'm nuts. But I'll be safe, or certainly safer. So if that's the way you're going, I don't think you need to have antivirus software installed for Windows. Now, doesn't mean that you shouldn't. I'm just saying, if you go through a vetted store, it's like installing antivirus software on the iPhone. Well, why would you? Because you can only get apps through Apple's App Store. It'd be the same thing for Windows, going through Microsoft. If you don't want to do that, hey, you're on your own, and I definitely say protect your ASCII. It's an old computer. Ask you a stupid question, get a stupid answer. You don't get that one either, do you? Okay. Moving on, next article. Quitting social media increases productivity. It's true. How much time do you waste in social media? Just scrolling, browsing, clicking, looking, pointing, doing, and before you know it, hours of your life are gone. You could have been playing a Skyrim. That's what the kids are playing these days. You could have been playing some first-person shooter, which does not involve an arrow to the knee. Social media can be a waste of time. I know this. I live in social media. I find a way to make it work for me. I'm learning. I'm sharing. I'm experiencing. I'm connecting with people like you. But before you know it, you could be down a path that has completely siphoned away all of those extra moments in a day. And it just could not be worth your time if what you do is not somehow related to social media. What I do is related. If you're not sharing this video right now, I'm doing something wrong. If you haven't shared the link for this live video, then what am I doing? I'm wasting my time. If you haven't shared. If you haven't even liked this video, how do I know they even like the stuff that I'm doing right now? I'm wasting my time. A viewer, I don't know. I can't get any gauge of any kind of interest in what we do unless you take that step forward. Social media doesn't have to be a waste of time, but a lot of people just don't understand that they need to make those connections, and they also don't understand that it's not for everybody. Just because you can be on Twitter doesn't mean you should be on Twitter. Earthquakes. Where can you find real-time maps and information? This was something that I needed the other day. I every once in a while feel a tremor, not so much in the force, but on the floor. Kind of wonder. We kind of live in earthquake territory up here in the Seattle area, and there are resources. Instead of going to Twitter, and did you guys feel the earthquake? You could go to Google, I'm sure, and look for information, but there are specific websites that you can go to for earthquake information and applications, more importantly, that you should have installed on your smartphone. And I'm guessing at this point in time that most of my audience carries a smartphone. That's a good thing, because there are apps that can help you help yourself before you even know you need help. Imagine getting a push text message, whatever, to your phone saying, hey, guess what? There's an earthquake here. Oh, okay, cool. Well, at least I know, what's going on. So long as the communication network is still intact, and I would hope it would be. But this is the kind of thing where software can come in and save the day. These are the types of apps you want to have installed or at your fingertips before something bad happens. Community photo sharing sites can build your brand. One big frustration, and I'm sorry that top one comment says he doesn't carry a smartphone, or her, I don't know. She or he, not sure. Community photo sharing sites can build your brand. One frustration I have, really, is when people take an image that isn't theirs and they copy it without attribution. It drives me up the wall. So anytime that we, or even I, share an image, I make sure I attribute it the right way. So, for example, Michael Clark Duncan had passed away today, and when I shared the news, I went to his Wikipedia page, found the license, the appropriate license for the photo to be able to share it on Google+. Indeed, that was really sad news. He was so young. But, I wasn't going to take that image if I didn't know who to give credit to, right? I mean, just because it's a photo of a person doesn't mean the person owns the rights for the photo. It could be, based on a completely different license. Someone else may have taken it. Well, if you're looking to build a brand, a great way to do that is through imagery. And you probably have a camera on you. Maybe you have two cameras. This is for more than playing Angry Birds, I hope you know, or checking email. It's a great camera on here. The best camera you have is the one on you. In fact, the one or a photo that I uploaded to Instagram last night had like 200 something likes. It's insane. I just took a shot of the wine glass in front of the MacBook Pro. I thought it was kind of unique. Surprised that so many people liked it. Oh, even more people liked it right now. That's just awesome. Thank you for liking this stuff. If I wanted to build the brand, my brand, if it was about wine or computers, I would possibly think about creating a photo community site. People connect with images. People connect with video. It's the reason why I do so much video, is because I know that if you were reading something from me, I mean, you read, I don't care, it was too long, didn't read. You'd rather watch me. Well, most of you guys would, even though I know that after this has gone live, I'd be shocked if anybody bothers to watch this video. Which is why I hope if you're watching, you like this video. Okay? That shows me you appreciate it. And of course, we hope you like the links too. Can't force you to share them, but here's something that I think you might want to share. Online dating. Technology can save you from a bad date. You ever dated someone you wish you weren't dating? Now, I don't mean like 6 months in. I mean, we've all been there, let's face it. I'm very lucky to have been blessed with Diana, who I am never going to leave, even when I die. She is going to turn me into a gem. There's that life gem program where you can get, seriously, when you die, you get if you get cremated, they can take your ashes and compress them down into a gem, a jewel, which becomes like a family heirloom. I think I want to do that now. I thought I was going to stream my casket, like decomposing, but I think I want to be a gem. That's much more fun, really. I'd rather like convert into some kind of value. Bad dates, they happen. To save yourself from a bad date, there are some applications that you may want to install. I think if you don't do your research about somebody, if you meet them online, you're not doing yourself any favors. Now, the first thing you may be inclined to do is Google. I was going to say look for someone on Google. That would be Googling them. You'd be looking for them, right? Another word just made up like that. This needs to be, I'm just a walking urban dictionary, aren't I? New words every other minute. There are apps that can bail you out of a bad date, like something where you set like the timer for 10 minutes and then it goes off. I'm like, oh no, my sister's head exploded. I gotta go. My dad was just abducted by an alien. Abducted? Man, hang on. Clear my palate. Thinking about bad dates, hon. This is something we've never experienced together, and I'm very grateful for that. Doing your research about someone can save you, really, from the bad date. Sure, their profile looks great, but does it add up, right? And a lot of people pretend to be someone that they're not, especially online. My number one suggestion, if you do online dating, is when you have that first date, if you get that far, congratulations, do it in a public place. Period. End of story. Don't take it much further than that. It's my number one recommendation. Number two recommendation, do not use Craigslist. Just saying. The cream of the crop ain't hanging out there. Catch my drift? Sorry if you date on Craigslist. I do kind of feel sorry for you there. So, something fun? Fine. How about playing Pac-Man in any web browser without downloading anything? Did that get your attention? We wrote about where you can play Pac-Man online without a download. And there are other links beyond this one that I'm about to demonstrate for you. You can play Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, Crazy Otto, or Cookie Man. Or you can learn it. So this is at seanw.github.com/pac-man. Pac-Man. The link, of course, is in the video description. I'm playing Pac-Man right here on the iPad. You can play on your desktop web browser, too, if you want. Look at that. And the nice thing is, I didn't have to install anything. I can swipe up and down and left and right to control Pac-Man. Neat, huh? My favorite of all the Pac-Man series was Ms. Pac-Man, actually. Used to love Ms. Pac-Man. Play it every so often. Uh-oh. Isn't that great? Aren't you glad you guys tuned in? Aren't you glad you subscribed to the Locker Room newsletter? You would have found out about that yesterday. Just saying. Higher education and technology trends. How are professors adapting? I prided myself in kind of being ahead of the curve when I was in college, in integrating technology with my lesson plans when I was studying to become an English teacher. Back then, the advancement in technology brought us to the point where we could have transparencies. You'd have to do transparencies and get them all staged. I remember HyperCard. I designed HyperCard stacks for, like, it was a lesson plan for World War II or one of the World Wars. I can't remember. And it was fun because I designed it so that the student could click through, and it wasn't that difficult, really. It was just some basic scripting and pointing and clicking and object-oriented stuff, and everyone was wowed by it, right? But, fast forward to today, and there are still some professors who have not quite yet adapted to the new mode of education. That's technology, man. If, I didn't have an email address for a professor, I mean, I would think, they were gone. They were off the reservation. Gone completely. They wouldn't exist, right? If I couldn't get to everything, all my materials from any internet connection, I'd be frustrated. I don't understand how we have to be tethered to books anymore, especially when there's a volume of information that if I had digital copies back in the day, I could have saved so much time. How much time did I waste looking for that one passage again or remembering that one keyword that I could never find again? The wishes are gone, but some professors still aren't adapting. It's frustrating. Ugh. So anyway, how are your professors doing if you're in college? I'd be curious to know. There have been a couple of studies that have been done around this, and I know a lot of our audience is still in school in one case. But the nice thing is, as far as trends are concerned, just had to note, while a majority of instructors refused to make it available to their students, some acknowledged that they used video capture in the creation of their own classroom materials. So that they just had to do it once and then just watch it over and over and over again. YouTube, in many ways, is kind of like, this is permanent education, right? I'm sharing my thoughts on the day's headlines. I'd like to believe I am. How to turn Android into a super OS with Tasker. Now, this is not for you if you use an iPhone. I'm not trying to start a war. But Tasker is this little application that helps you, let me zoom in again there, helps you do so much more with your Android device that you couldn't necessarily do with the software out of the box. If you are a power user, I would be shocked if you found something more useful than Tasker. So there's a bonus for all you Androidies. In the news, Windows 7 finally overtakes Windows XP in market share, and Mac OS X overtakes Windows Vista. Catch that? That's weird. There are more people using OS X than Vista, which does not surprise me. A lot more people using Windows XP than 7. We'll see how Windows 8 stats stack up. I would be surprised if we ever saw more Windows 8 users than iOS users. I'm serious about that. I think they're going to run neck and neck. Windows 8 is trying to be like an iPad, at least on touchscreen devices. We'll see what happens, though. It remains to be played out in the marketplace. Got a couple other news stories, but I know we're kind of running long, and I'd hesitate to run too long, if only because I know the rewatchability of these live videos after they're live. See, we only have 300 people watching live now. Only 200 of you have liked this video, though, so I just kind of wonder if it's engaging at all. And that's a frustration for me, because I hate doing long videos knowing that after they've gone live, nobody watches them. It's frustrating. So keep liking, keep sharing, keep watching. So let me go ahead and answer a few questions live from the community. Mr. BB86 says, if I had a notebook and a desktop, should I need a tablet? I think so. These computers are insanely portable. Of course, the idea of a tablet now is that it has a touch screen, and it's much easier to crawl into bed with one of these things, or to sit on a chair and use one of these things, versus a quote-unquote clunky laptop, and certainly not a desktop. You couldn't haul that desktop around with you wherever you went. Is your iPhone jailbroken? Asks Sim Humor. No, it is not. Probably not going to happen either. I just don't feel the need to do that. Muttley2209 says, I moved from Vista to OS X, so happy I did. Yeah, you're not the only one. In fact, Vista was the thing that really drove me to take a look at what Apple was doing in the first place. So, let's see what else we got here. Is Diana baking another cake? Asks Hayes Hacker 1. At some point, yes.
Yes.
That was just a guess. In fact, she's going to be answering questions at live.pirillo.com here in a few minutes as I look at my invisible watch. Can you please stop your... What? The problem on YouTube comments is I don't know who they're replying to. I don't know if they're talking to me or talking to somebody else. Chase Farrar says, I finally caught a live one. Dang, but it seems like I caught the tail end of it. Indeed, but at least I read your comment. Doesn't that make you happier? Maybe we'll take a couple more questions here. With you having a Retina MacBook, would you advise buying one, or would you wait until they have matured the hardware a little more? Asks Adam Davies. I'm happy with it because it's a video crunching machine, and it's very, very, very fast. Although I installed an application on the Retina MacBook Pro called, let's see if I get the exact name of it, Quick Res, and it pushed the original resolution of the MacBook, not a Retina display, but like what the display is capable of before pixel doubling. And the UI is definitely a lot more responsive, although it's very difficult to see the text on the screen now without me zooming in and out. It's a little difficult. On LockerGnome.net, Phototypo writes, how do you blog about news? Well, let me tell you something. Blogging is getting easier and more difficult at the same time. Yes, we are still blogging. No, I am not very happy with the design of our blog right now. We're working on a redesign, and we'll likely continue to work on, designs until we find something that ultimately serves our audience best. I tend to, if I report on the news, give you my spin, right? No one wants to read regurgitation. If someone links to another news article, I mean, that's kind of interesting, but don't you want original insight from your news sources? Why would you just go after someone who's regurgitating something that somebody else said? I tend to want to report original stuff, and if it's something that everybody else is reporting, I'm going to give you my spin on it. That is what I believe makes the video, valuable, or any of the articles that we do publish on LockerGnome.com. That's my take on the matter. That's why if you ever wanted to try to do any kind of news blogging, you'd be wise to spend more time thinking and sharing your perspectives on the news rather than chasing the headlines and reporting something exactly like anybody else would have reported it. What do I think about Google closing people's AdSense accounts? Well, I don't know. I couldn't tell you why. These things are being done by Google. They have their own reasons. I wish they would be a bit more transparent when they did things like that, though. That's for sure. Thoughts on the 3G Nexus 7, asks Brandon Wilkes. Yeah, it's good news. Of course, it'll be really interesting to see what Amazon has to announce. And I'm considering doing the Amazon announcements live. Since you guys have been really good with the likes and the engagements and the comments and the shares of our videos as of late, I am considering doing that live on YouTube when it happens, the Amazon announcement. Since it's likely we're going to hear about the next iteration of the Kindle Fire. We'll see how low they go, but they're going to have to break the $200 barrier now. I wouldn't be surprised if Amazon had a Kindle Fire available for $100. That's a guess, because they have to undercut the competition in order to stay ahead, and you can't beat Google at their own game, right? They're doing their best, Amazon is, and they've got a great story, but I'm so much happier with my Nexus 7 than I ever was with the Kindle Fire, specifically in terms of performance. That is faux shizzy. There we go. What do you think of Windows Phone 8, asks RK UK Entertainment. Well, I did my best with that username. I'm in line with what Candace wrote on LockerGnome a few weeks ago. She feels like a pariah using a Windows Phone 8, but she loves it. She would consider nothing else. And, I think Microsoft has a really strong potential for the Windows ecosystem, especially with the release of Windows 8. I don't know if I would switch to Windows Phone 8 today. Windows Phone 8 should have existed 10 years ago. That would have been awesome. Because back then, Windows Phone sucked. And it was what I used, and it sucked. And I knew it sucked. And I said it sucked. But there was no alternatives. What can you do? Two questions in a row. Saxman12 and Alex Sereno ask, are you getting the next iPhone? Are you excited for the next iPhone? Yes, and probably yes. It's just not something that I have felt any kind of pain with. You guys caught the series of articles I wrote on LockerGnome a few weeks ago about pain and momentum and why it's difficult to just make a switch. It's not so simple. All you need to do is just switch. I'm like, no, you don't get it. That's just not how people work unless they're feeling pain. If I got to the point where I was feeling pain and feeling anxious and like I wanted to punch the screen, that's when my body is telling me it's time to switch. And right now, my body is telling me it's time to close the live video. We've answered a lot of the questions. I want to keep moving on with my life. I want you to move on with your life. Certainly, we hope you visit the articles. And if you can leave a comment, that'd be great. We're working on doing a regular series of giveaways for those of you who are active participants. As I said, if you can share, it's even better. Like, you read it, you like it. Don't just read it, like it, and move on. Share it. I'm going to teach you. Share. You can share. Don't worry, they're not going to take it away from you, okay? So thank you for the likes. Thank you for the comments. And thank you for the shares. And certainly, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you later.